Welcome back to All This Math. This is Professor Parker. Make sure you're subscribed to the All This Math YouTube channel. See, All This Math. All right. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're locked in. Make sure you tapped in. Make sure you like this video, share this video, tell everybody about All This Math. All right. Simplified math videos. All right. So, what are we getting into today? Today, we are going to simplify an expression. All right. Using what many of us call PEMDAS. But actually, I don't want you to call it PEMDAS. Call it what it is. It's the order of operations. PEMDAS confuses a lot of people and gets a lot of people caught up and leads us to getting incorrect answers because PEMDAS doesn't include all the details. All right. For example, because of PEMDAS, the M is before the D. That makes us think that you should always multiply before you divide because in PEMDAS, the M is always before the D. That's actually quite logical. But that's the problem with PEMDAS. It's a faulty mnemonic device, what we call a mnemonic device, where we use like letters to remind us of different steps and different things, right? We should understand the order of operations first. And then once we fully understand the order of operations, which says to deal with grouping symbols, the P stands for parentheses, and the parentheses is an example of a grouping symbol, just like brackets and braces are, right? So if you see those in the problem, you know you need to do the work inside of the parentheses or the brackets or the braces. Then it says to proceed to do the work with the exponents if you see any of those. Radicals are included within exponents as well, because the radicals can be expressed as exponents. Then you proceed to multiplication or division. Emphasis on the word or, heavy on the word or. Multiplication or division based on what you see first as you read the problem from left to right. From left to right. So if you see division first, that does not mean you skip the division and jump over it and go to the multiplication. That's the problem with PEMDAS. That's what PEMDAS does with to us and against us. It hurts us. All right. Multiply or divide. All right. That's what you got to do. Multiply or divide. Then add or subtract. Now, the difference with addition and subtraction is that it actually don't matter what you do first. As long as you carry the negative signs, if you see negative signs, the final answer will not be affected. But if you divide before you multiply or you multiply before you divide, that will give you a different answer depending on which operation you do first. That's why we default to what we see first as we read from left to right. All right, now let's get into this. I like order of operations questions because it helps us to develop, I like math when math can help us to teach life, can help to teach us life skills, right? And order of operations does that. Because in the order of operations, you have a lot of options in terms of what you need to do. And you as a student or the person working out the problem, you got to decide what you need to do first, second, third, fourth, fifth. And you got to do everything in the correct order because if you don't, you get the wrong answer. Just like in life, if you got a lot of errands to run, if you don't do things in the right order, something might get messed up. You know what I'm saying? Or if you're a student, you got a lot of homework to do. You got different tests to study for. You got projects due. You got to decide what you need to do first, second, third, fourth, and so on. All right, to in order to have success. Order of operations helps to teach us how to do that because it gives us an order. We have to learn the order and then follow the order and then work out the problems. All right, so what we're gonna do first is I see parentheses. These are a grouping symbol. All right, so everything inside the parentheses I need to work out first. So inside the parentheses I see 3 times 2 minus 5. So then I got to make another decision. Should I multiply first or should I subtract first? Should I multiply or should I subtract? According to the order of operations, we multiply first. So we're going to do 3 times 2. 3 times 2 is going to give me 6. And then I'm going to do 6 minus 5. 6 minus 5 is going to give me 1. So I'm going to do all that in one step. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 minus 5 is 1. And then it's going to look like this. 2 times 1 plus 3 times 1/3. Now, take a look at what happened. Whenever we watch people do math problems, you should always make sure you understand what changed. The 1/3 didn't change, the 3 didn't change. This changed because this ain't look like this, right? This did not look like, this did not look like this. The 2 is still outside the parentheses. But another thing I want to emphasize, these parentheses have a different meaning now. They're not a grouping symbol no more. Because all it symbolizes is that 2 is being multiplied by this 1. Right? Because there's nothing to group. It's just a 1. That's another common mistake a lot of people make. They see parentheses and they remember PEMDAS. And in PEMDAS, the P is first. So they always think they're supposed to deal with the parentheses first, deal with whatever is around the parentheses or inside the parentheses first. This 1 inside these parentheses is not a grouping symbol. It's not. It just means multiplication. I could rewrite this right now. And this is mathematically correct. I could say 2 times 1 plus 3 times 1/3 and use what we call the middle dot. The middle dot, right? It's not a decimal point because it's not down here next to the bottom of the 2. It's called a middle dot, right? 2 times 1, 2 times 1. They mean the same thing. Now the parentheses are gone. That is mathematically correct. That is mathematically sound. A lot of people get confused, right? They see parentheses, they think, oh, no matter what, I got to do that first. Nah, not necessarily, because you'll get jammed up because if there was division before that, right, which there isn't in this problem, but if it was, you would think, oh, parentheses, PEMDAS. This is why you got to learn the order of operations, the long form, right, order of operations, which I'm explaining now. All right, so now we got options. We got to do multiplication, addition, and multiplication. So working from left to right, I'm going to multiply this, and I'm going to multiply these. Multiply this, and multiply these. You might be tempted to do 1 plus 3. Resist the temptation. All right, multiply and multiply. 2 times 1 is going to give me 2. And then 3 times 1/3 is going to give me 1. 3 times 1/3 is going to give me 1. Why? How do I know that? Because, well, if I have 1/3 3 times, that's the same thing as saying, because remember, multiplication is just repeated addition. I'm going to say it again. Multiplication is just repeated addition. 3 times 1/3 is the same thing as 1/3 times 3. So you can think of that as 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3. A third plus a third plus a third is a whole, which is 1, a whole 1. Or 3 times 1/3, 1/3 of 3, right? A third of 3 is 1, right? A third of 3 is 1, because 1 times 3 is 3. So that's why this becomes a 1. Also, real quick, if I was to convert this to a fraction, it's 3, and put a 1 underneath of it, because that's how you convert any whole number into a fraction. 3 over 1 times 1 over 3, that's going to be 3 times 1, and 1 times 3. And what's 3 divided by 3? 1. Anytime you have a fraction where your numerator and denominator are the same number, the result or the quotient is 1. And then last but not least, we only got one step left. Addition. 2 plus 1 equals 3. That's the final answer. But remember, you just got to follow the order of operations. Now, let me also say this. I neglected to say this at the beginning. Sometimes when people see these problems, they get intimidated. They get scared. Try not to. Try not to get intimidated. Try not to get scared. All right? Work on these problems one step at a time. Read it, understand it, and ask yourself, what should I do first? What should I do second? What should I do third? How do you know what to do first? How are you going to know? Because you know the order of operations. The order of operations should be written down somewhere, either in your textbook, in your notes in your notebook, or on a computer screen somewhere for you to see visibly and just refer back to it every time. What should I do first? Okay, I should do whatever I see inside parentheses, brackets, or braces. Do I see parentheses in this problem? Yes, I do. Then I say, what's inside of them? Okay, I see multiplication and subtraction. Then I got to decide, what do I do first? Do I multiply or do I subtract? According to the order of operations, look at that part of the order of operations. You multiply before you subtract. So you're going to multiply, you're going to do 3 times 2. You're not going to do 2 minus 5 because we're following the rules. We're following the steps, right? Math has a lot of rules, a whole lot of rules. So if you're a person that is equipped to learn rules, read rules, and understand rules, and then follow them, right? Then math should not be as challenging as it is at times for some people, right? Trust the rules, trust the process, all right? And then we say, okay, then we have this, 2 times 1 plus 3 times 1/3. Then we have to ask ourselves, what do I do next? I got multiplication and multiplication. Do the multiplication. Then we end up with 2. And notice how this problem that might have looked intimidating at the beginning, notice how it gets easier and easier. It looks shorter and shorter, easier and easier. You end up with 2 plus 1. And we all know 2 plus 1 is 3. All right. So this is simplifying expressions. This is an order of operations question. Practice these problems until you learn the order of operations. And stop saying PEMDAS. PEMDAS confuses a lot of people. Just deal with order of operations. All right. The full order of operations. Don't confuse yourself. You know what I'm saying? Focus on the order of operations. All right. Go get some practice. I'll see you all on the next video.